Good morning.
Good morning.
So usually I have slides, but I've chosen this morning to intentionally be unplugged and to be unplugged and acoustic and raw and real. And what else could you be if what you're talking about is a book you've written about 5 years of your life, which I would say I describe in my book as somewhere between a spiritual awakening, midlife crisis, existential crisis, all seem to fit. So it felt more real and authentic to simply just share. When I think about unity, though, and I think about coming into unity about 2014, and the idea that the way that we think creates our life. And I say that, and it made some sense to me at the time. And I've spoken for years and years on the topic. And then I went through a transformation over 5 years, and now it feels completely different. So when I say to you what it looks like to see that thinking transforms our life, I'm trying to weave today in for you some bigger ideas that now inform my life, that then informed my writing. So I'm hoping to walk with you through both those bigger ideas and then offer you some readings from the book itself. I write, when I say the turning, I'm referring to the process, the journey, the choice that some of us will courageously make to turn away from what we were told that doesn't align with who we know ourselves to be or what we know is possible with love, toward authenticity, compassion, joy, and courage. Instead, we can pick up and hold with compassion the aspects of ourselves that we thought didn't belong and stretch that capacity out to grow our capacity to be with others just as they are. I was most surprised that responsibility and accountability were on the other side of that journey, and how sweet and empowering it is to have the opportunity to respond and account for your life. That said, it will hurt first. It's meant to. Remembering to feel is a part of the process. One of the ideas I've come to understand in an embodied way is the idea that there's always more to the story. There's more to the story, to who you are, to who another is, to life. By simply holding that greater idea as central, probably in part, like coming to this point in my life, there's a Tracy Chapman song, and I don't remember the name of it, but the lyrics are, I've done so many things wrong. I don't know if I can do right. It's been a profoundly healing journey to realize that I don't know. And I won't always even know that I don't know. That is something then that brings me back to the possibility that there's always more to the story. It appears to be the antidote to limited thinking, to sensations of stuckness, to right fighting. Because I hold the possibility that there is more to the story. In holding that, I began to be able to write my own story, to start to see myself, to start to interact with myself. It meant, though, needing to be able to grow my capacity to look at things that I consider to be less than rosy and allow them to be there. I never thought I would reach the end of my energy. I never imagined what being completely tapped out would feel like until emptiness was a state I could not ignore. Nothing from outside could fill that void, I know, because I tried. I grasped at anything that once made me feel whole. Now those effects feel dull and meaningless. There's only one choice: to remain stagnant or risk going within, to offer myself the same care I would give to others. There is only one choice: to rest, breathing, feeling, healing, because nothing else can save me. I know this because I tried. Imagine what channeling a lifetime of love inward could do. I have no idea, but I will find out. When we choose to fearlessly step into a journey, we choose to honor the unknown. We choose to honor that there's more to the story, that it will be pleasant and unpleasant. It will be life. And we know life on life's terms is it will be a mix of everything. So instead of stepping into this journey with a clear, prepared map, knowing exactly where it was going to go and what it would do, I came to understand the map is not the territory. And even if I know I go straight and turn left or turn right, I will inevitably find myself with terrain that I did not expect, perhaps a fallen tree metaphorically in the road, perhaps a river that has no water for me to hoist my kayak in. It actually happened. And that's okay, because I grow something else instead, and I would name that preparedness. I become prepared to carry myself with me in my life, and I become less surprised when life shows up as life. Instead, I become deeply committed to feeling all that life is bringing, to the expansiveness of the human experience. As I've spoken before, that means to tether and hold that there is joy and sorrow, love and pain, becoming and unbecoming, fullness and emptiness all at the same time. And so too are you, so too am I. And that is how we start to see ourselves really, truly connected to everything that is, because we start to allow more of ourselves to show up. I didn't realize how much choice and change, this is a bigger idea again. So there's more to the story as one idea I now live as an overarching idea in my life. The other is that choice and change are highly sought after and highly feared. I never realized how offensive I would be just by simply being myself. I mean, I knew what the world told me to be, and I knew that most of what the world told me to be, I wasn't. And when that piece came to be where I reconciled that and said, wow, so much of who I am, including my queerness and including the ways that I see the world, are in tension with what the world told me to be and what I am not. And so I believed that nonsense, and I became a shell of me, or how I describe it is at my outward of everyone saying, oh, look at Mel, so strong, so put together, oh, happy family, happy kids, was the peak of my self-abandon. So I did everything this world told me to be, and I found myself sad and unfulfilled. What I found so shocking was as I became myself, that's what was offensive to people, is people who themselves do not know that they have choice and can change are very offended by people who are standing there choosing and changing. And so I had to choose where I gave my power. I decided it was myself. I decided empower meant that I would be here as me in this world. I met the deepest, darkest time of my life in that moment. The deepest, darkest time in my life was the moment where I said, I will either die or be me. And I will name that we put each other in that situation by creating societies that give such boring and limited ways of being in this world. But we don't get out of that by doing anything other than being more conscious and expansive people ourselves. It's our responsibility to wake up and grow our awareness. It's our responsibility to wake up and grow our consciousness. That's where the change happens. We keep looking somewhere else, saying, hey, you know, it's the government that needs to care. No, it's us. It's us. And for ourselves and for one another. So the idea that I can choose and I can change is an idea that is deeply linked to a mirage of things: courage, risk, accountability, responsibility, vulnerability, honesty. They're all under this idea of choice and change. So are power and control. So is autonomy and sovereignty. And that's why that tension comes, because underneath all of that is another idea: belonging. And when we come to understand deeply Maya Angelou's words, you are free only when you realize you belong no place. You belong every place, no place at all. It is in that same moment where you start to sink yourself into unity's idea of oneness. Because you're right, there's no other. There's not like a separate earth for which other people reside or a boat for which not all of us are in. We are all in this together, like it or not. And you are in all of those things that you think you're not. And all of those things are in you. And that's not like a burden, it's a profound gift, but we have to be willing to respond. And in that moment, then, how could you not belong? Because you're a part of all of it. You're in all of it. So what I would say is that the choice to abandon myself to try to fit into a narrow understanding of what the world was meant that it didn't matter whether people in those moments accepted me. I didn't accept me, which meant that the love that was trying to come at me couldn't be received. So my experiences was one of loneliness and isolation. And if I was going to get really real, I had to start looking at the ways for which I would isolate myself with stories that y'all are spending your life judging me and thinking about me. I hope not. I hope you're more interested in your world, right? The truth is that we're all fighting some sort of battle. We do not have to know the details of each other's battles to know that and to meet each other with care and love. But if we are not meeting ourselves with care and love, if we are not sitting in this place of I have choice and change, then we rail against those who are. And that's why I offer that the most. It's the most surprising thing about moving into an authentic journey that really does not match what the world told me to do or be, is that the angriest people at me are the people who themselves do not believe they have choice and do not believe they can change. You deserve to be who you are. Before that, I want to offer a poem called The Opening. What does it mean to open, to allow access, to view when the outer edges fold away from one another, creating space? What is there? We don't know. This is the heart-pounding moment of discovery, where we uncover the mirror on our chest and risk looking into ourselves in another. We open ourselves to be seen in another, in experiences, in adventure, and in the pain. When we can live with courage, the courage to look at ourselves, to reflect, we release the shoulds, like birds released after rehabilitation, and we watch them fly away, creating an opening for wants, desire, learning, growing, loving, and discovery. Like opening a book to the first page and then watching as it's written through living. Then one more step, then one more page. Courage, dear heart, courage. Open. is redirecting me back to what it looks like to stand my ground, to have boundaries, to do what I need to do. I don't have the same fear I had before. That peace is an inside job and it's worth the work. It's the moment that we stop thinking that anyone else was ever going to understand us. Similar to where I said to you, the most offended by choice and change are people who themselves do not believe that they can choose and change. The moment I started to understand who I was, turns out I actually didn't care if you understood who I was. Turns out I no longer spent days laboring over maybe I could find the right words to have you understand, because I understand. And then I also understand some of my earlier ideas that I've started to live life with, which is I'm going to change anyway. So even if I tell you this is who I am in a nice, neat, tidy box, which I would never be able to do, too queer for that, thankfully, it's going to change anyway. So the idea isn't, we have the number one issue between humans. There just needs to be better communication, more communication threads and ways of communicating. No, there needs to be deeper inward understanding so that we're not linking ourselves externally all the time to this other thing as though we get to have a pass from knowing ourselves. And why would you want to? Life was not meant to be lived on the surface. But to go in means to touch into trauma, mistakes, risk, loss, and pain. And the wildest thing is that below that, I will offer, you will find joy, you will find love, compassion, fulfillment, and a wholeness of self. So you don't have to do anything. You can live life skirting the surface, sure. You will not get to those deeply rooted sensations of peace and joy without going through the humanness of the experience. It is through those things that you come into understanding joy and sorrow as not separable. They spin, they move. Love and pain, likewise, not separable. You, not separable. I write somewhere in my book that at some point in my life, some of the experiences of trauma I had, I kept trying to sort my life out. And then I learned through therapy that the good times were part of the harm too. And I stopped trying to sort and I started to hold more of the picture of my life. And things changed. The story got bigger. I could see that there was moments of profound love offered to me in my life and profound harm experienced. And that was happening all at the same time. Those moments open us up to more of who we are. Rise up. Consciousness rising like waves of understanding, some with sharp edges, others with a gentle touch, acceptance. That pain is a part of the pleasure, that learning will not come easy, but not knowing myself would be certain death. I am sure I cannot accept this life lived on the surface. Coming back to ourselves, coming home to ourselves, to who we truly are, is a courageous act. It takes heart. These ideas, these bigger thinkings, are pointing us back to feeling. And the song Unwritten, the line that stands out to me most in that song is this idea that no one else can feel it for you. But the hard stuff's the stuff that we're like, but just take this pain from me because it's too much. And again, with compassion, we live in a world that wants us to go away from ourselves. It's very productive for productivity and consumerism, and really, really detrimental to the human and spiritual experience of knowing yourself and being with it. It is an honor and a gift. I've heard that grief is love that has no place to go. Feeling that love and letting it transform you and move through you will change you. It will root you and grow you. We resist the very things that would grow us. It takes locating our truth into our power over and over again. I was on the Out of Our Mouth show earlier this week, and Barbara was talking about being afraid to be asked to be called Barbara. Had been called Barb for many years. And for some of us, we might think, but that's such a simple thing. No, friends. That's what we're doing to one another, is we're creating space that's so limited that people feel like, I don't want to be offensive, if it's easier for you to do this than honor who I am. It's like, no, you got to honor who you are. You got to honor who you are first. We teach people how to treat us. And so the courage is in whatever it is that you are afraid that if you say somehow you will be othered. That's where the courage lies, is in being that anyway. I wrote this piece before we move into a little time of meditation. And I would say somewhere in there, in this journey, it is the moment where you actually got to meet the anger part of yourself and realize that anger is a really good indicator that you're outside of your boundaries, right? Hey, that's not okay. That's really essentially what boundaries are, is what is okay and not okay. And so I would say that there's a few pieces of poem where I'm really saying back off in the nicest words I have. I'm saying back off. And so this poem is called The Daily Grind. And at the top, I have a quote by Brene Brown, and it's a quote that says, "You are not a jackass whisperer." I used to be in the grind until my bones were just powder. Occasionally, I'd look behind to see the pieces of myself I left behind, like a breadcrumb trail I hope to one day return to. This includes my insecurities, lies, and unrealized fears driving the avatar of me right into the ground, lost and never found. The grind of dressing up pretty, saying the right thing, being what others want. This cost me the breath from my lungs so that someone else might breathe while I suffocate. It's confusing and disorienting, because who am I if I am not what you need? The grind is like waking up each day afraid to be myself, fearing that I will die without ever truly knowing me. My weirdness is feared by me first, using the measuring stick that society gave me. But I want to love more. Big, huge, whole, delicious. I want to love messily and wildly in the spaces that only make sense when logic is released and magic flows in. Truth that would blow our minds because it would bring us back to our hearts in a world that allows wildness to roam. So now I grind. I grind on my ability to move through challenging spaces, to be me in the face of opposition. I grind to share what I want, to offer what I can, but I grind on the inside, tapping into the force that is me, loving without reason, season. Now I am stronger with more boundaries. I grind in a way that allows others in, just not those that can't see me or want to drain my energy, too afraid to risk their own unfolding. They hold me back, limiting me, fearing the fullness of themselves. I am not here to be a jackass whisperer. I don't need to win over fears or take the hit, because fear will always attack love. We would rather be jerks in infinite ways than confront our truth, hiding behind fear and shame as though it were a warm fire, while all the while missing, it's burning us up inside. Love doesn't need to attack. It can hold fear, move like a matrix, change back into the flow of consciousness. It's about dancing, being both the riverbed and the river, the holder of big spaces, the flow. That's how I grind. That's what I know. My truth needs no defense. So I invite you into a time of meditation, a time of reflection, into more of who you are as you allow your feet to touch the floor, to envision the roots that grow deep down into the earth, connected to the center, to imagine a root flowing out from the top of your head all the way up into the infinite universe, because that is how connected you truly are. Oh, sweet one, the time has come for the journey home, to walk down the staircase back to self, into the womb of you, into your wounded child, into your untamed wild, calling you back, calling you into your heart, into your playful curiosity, into your wide-eyed innocence. Oh, sweet one, the time has come for the journey home, to walk down the staircase back to yourself. Do not take another step outside of yourself, darling. Stop. Put on a sheer robe instead. Let your skin feel what breath wants to teach you. Let your heart heal within the womb of love and tenderness. Let your playful soul come out into the wilderness that is your calling. Go within to what is meant for you. Healing, laughter, connection. Remember, the wound will heal the wound. Dare to look even at the train wreck aspects of self. Dare to look, darling. See all that is beautiful in what was once thought broken. Use threads of love and acceptance to mend. Use gold to fuse back together the aspects of you that you have denied. Call in the elements with energy and passion. Call them all. Return air, return fire, return water, return earth, return to the space I have made within me. And may it grow, and may it grow, and may it grow. Inviting yourself to just imagine for a moment what it would mean, what it might feel like to breathe into a deeper sense of who you are. A deeper presence, deeper connection, a deeper awareness of how connected you are. To imagine that there's always more to the story. The choice and change are your birthright. That you deserve to understand who you are. That coming back to ourselves and who we really are is a courageous act. And as we return to this space, I'll close with a piece of poetry fitted for spring called Presence Returning. I watch the leaves be born again, their little forms perfectly shaped, tiny representations of who they will grow to be. They are bright, tender, and mighty. So am I. And so are you.